welcome to webinar 2 entitled Positivity, the New Normal at MMI. We are going through a very difficult time, one that we could not have even imagined just a couple of months ago. And we are all yearning for things to sort of return to normal. We are all being called upon to make sacrifices, and we have to make peace with those sacrifices. It's important for all of us to have a collective selflessness. And for the first time, we are seeing how interconnected our fates really are. In this scenario, we have to work differently in ways that are not normal. But we've got to keep going. It's like entering a dark tunnel. We have to believe that there is an exit. But when we come out the other side, we are going to be in a different place. And these abnormal ways in which we work would be how we survive. They will be our new normal. Today, we have some of our colleagues as panelists who are here to share anecdotes from their present day-to-day life under lockdown. We are not here for the extraordinary. We are looking for the positives in the very basic routine they have that would stay with them beyond the lockdown and beyond the pandemic. But before we get into the panel discussion, I'd like to ask Mr. Bhupinder Singh and Mr. Falk Senger to address us briefly, after which we can begin with the panel. Over to you, Bhupinder.
Thanks, Samir. Thanks for setting the tone of today's discussion. Good morning, warm welcome to everyone. I do hope that all of you, your family members, your relatives are safe and healthy. And I do hope that I am audible. Dear colleagues, we as an industry are dealing with a significant challenge. As Samir mentioned, from our last town hall, where we discussed cancellation of over 100 exhibitions and an estimated loss of over 500 million euros, the situation has only been nosediving. At the moment, we all are part of an unknown territory, and we still don't know whether we are at the beginning of it or at the middle of it. But each passing day points into the direction of a bigger storm, and we must get ready for the storm because it will hit us. Most importantly, we must keep in mind that this problem doesn't belong to a certain country or community or color, as sometimes television tells us. This is our problem, and if we continue to stick to our values, we can, and I believe we will emerge from this altogether. Couple of important points here. Number one, firstly, the safety for all of us is paramount. We can only make positive contributions if we stay healthy and avoid spreading the virus. Second, business continuity and continuity is a must. We must focus our efforts on staying in touch with our customers every step of the way. Speak to as many visitors, as many exhibitors as possible. Please keep your telecom pipelines full. And third, and to the extent you can, please provide a helping hand to not only each other, but also communities around us. Our business partners, our vendors, people who you see require your assistance. This is the moment to demonstrate grace under pressure. Many people and many companies are much harder hit than Messe München India. And it is at times like this that the heroes are born. And in all modesty, we want Messe München India's values to shine at this difficult hour. We humbly request all of you to contribute to this. So far, I have to say that we are really proud and inspired by the way our company has risen to this challenge with flexibility, with resilience. We have operated with speed, and more importantly, with a caring heart. Thank you for your enormous contribution, also towards the state where we operate from, to the Maharashtra Chief Minister Relief Fund. So let's work together across all parts of the business, and let's make this one our finest hours. Please do look after yourselves and your families. Coming to today's program, this is our second town hall. We look forward to a special seminar on positivity and our learning from COVID-19 so far. I must clarify, and we were discussing it a while back with Samir, that positivity is not some sheepish approach where we see a problem and we pretend to be positive, but it's a state of mind which enables us to deal with reality, no matter how scary or challenging it is. So, positivity reinforces belief in us. We do that by being fully cognizant of the reality of our circumstances. I would like to share a short story with you. It's way back in 2007. I read an interesting book. It's called When You Are Sinking, Become a Submarine. That's the title of the book. When You Are Sinking, Become a Submarine. And that book had given me a lot of clarity at a time I needed it urgently. And I was lately thinking about this book, given the special circumstances we all are in. And that's when I contacted its author, Mr. Pawan Chaudhary, through LinkedIn. And he kindly responded. And Mr. Pawan Chaudhary, he's a known author, he's a TED Talk speaker. Samir will tell us more about him. And I requested him to join us for a few minutes to see if he can be as motivating as his book was. And I hope with the excellent coordination of David, he shall be with us and share a few interesting or other thought-provoking insights with all of us. And talking of submarine and positivity, we have one of the most positive, supportive, encouraging managing directors from Messe Munchen with us, who is also the chairman for Messe Munchen India Board, someone who has always been a solution-oriented personality, a problem solver for me personally. And I believe his biggest asset and value is empathy. He has kindly accepted our invitation to join us despite much bigger challenges at the headquarters. So please unmute your microphones and put your hands together for Mr. Falk Senger. Mr. Senger, over to you.
Oh, I'm unmuted. That's good. Dear Bhupinder, dear colleagues from Messe München, India, I see 76 people joining this webinar. That's incredible. That's all of you, and it's a big pleasure for me to meet you all this morning. For me, it's morning. It's 8 o'clock. Thanks, Bhupinder, for your very important and very motivating words and all your commitment in this crisis. With the post you have given us this weekend, the last weekend, and with all the webinars you are organizing together with your staff for all our Indian trade shows and their customers, you have become a kind of benchmark for all our worldwide locations, including Munich. It's your example that now applies pressure on all our colleagues to follow your model. And I mention this as a compliment. At present, the situation in Munich, as well as in entire Germany and Europe, seems to be very similar to the situation you have in Mumbai and the rest of India. Until now, we have had almost 160,000 infected people in Germany, some more in France, 200,000 in Italy, and around 230,000 infected persons in Spain. Spain is the most affected country in Europe. Fortunately, the death rate of the virus is relatively low in Germany. We are counting less than 6,000 people so far. But we are counting 23,000 dead people in France, same number in Spain, and almost 27,000 dead persons in Italy. This is a very dramatic situation in our very close neighborhood because the center of infection is in the area of northern Italy. If you take an airline, it's 200 kilometers, not more, and this is the main center of the virus, I would say, in Europe. Coming back to our situation in Messe München, it seems to be similar in all locations, let it be Munich or Shanghai or Mumbai, Sao Paulo, Moscow or Johannesburg. It's very similar all over the world. Our business has shut down completely, zero. I learned that Lufthansa is flying at least 1% of its flights, which is almost nothing, but we have shut down completely. We are not busy anymore in selling and organizing trade shows. We are busy in postponing and canceling them. And this is a very frustrating job we all are doing now. A job that I could never imagine in all my fantasy that I have to do it. Almost all of us, and myself as well, you see nice pictures behind in my living room behind me. We are all working from home and are, frankly speaking, a little bit getting used to it. The German newspaper recently reported that the average German is having his morning shower half an hour later than usual. So actually we get a little bit more sleep statistically. The third thing is, and is a very negative thing beyond doubt, that many of us had to reduce their working time. I don't know how you're organizing it in Mumbai, but at least in Munich, many of us are reducing their working time those days and are therefore losing a part of their salary. And I hope that this situation can be stopped soon, but we will surely have to accept it for some more months. As you have probably heard, we had to cancel IFAD, a show in September taking place, big show, international show, you all know this. And next show in October, still on the schedule, Expo Real and Analytica. Nobody knows if we can organize those shows. Yeah, it's difficult, you know, the combination of to get the allowance of the authority to organize shows, the doubts of the exhibitors not finding enough visitors at the show. So how is the expectation of the exhibitors to come to a show, pay a lot of money, and then not getting the results they expect? This is all a very difficult mixture. Even Electronica, I would say, in November, or Automatica now in December. Nobody can say today if we can conduct those trade shows. And this is for Messe München, and in this case for the headquarters, also financially a very, very difficult situation you can imagine. But let's coming to a maybe positive thing. I would, and I mentioned myself, colleagues not being digital natives. We are getting used to the conveniences of web meetings. Yeah, let it be Microsoft Teams or Skype for Business or even Zoom. That's interesting experience, especially the less experienced digital people are now facing. But this already brings me to the conclusion that first, it's very sure we will all personally survive this crisis. We will have a new normal. And I believe that the new normal will be more normal than new in the future. We will have successful trade shows again, because in the business world, as in private life, personal meetings will stay irreplaceable. That's for sure. But the situation today is so serious and so unforeseeable that nobody can see when this will be the case. That's the problem. But we will organize shows more efficient in the future than today. That's also sure. As we are getting, as I already said, an involuntary advanced training in digitalization these days. We are moving closer together. That's also a positive, let's say, thing out of this situation. In the management boards, let it be in Munich or in Shanghai or elsewhere, we are moving closer together. We are moving closer together between the headquarters and the subsidiaries, between the different divisions in the companies, and also between the headquarters and the subsidiaries worldwide. And I think this is a wonderful experience. And I can tell you that you can expect our help from the headquarters whenever you will need it. So I'm very much looking forward now to traveling to incredible India as soon as possible and meeting all of you again, sound and happy, and remembering the crazy times we are experiencing currently. Thanks a lot to all of you. Thank you for your support. And together, I'm very sure that we will go through this crisis. And in the future, whenever it will be, we will together be as successful as we have been before the start of this crisis. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanger, for a very realistic picture. And we have heard what you shared with us in small tidbits and bits by some colleagues in Germany, but this overall picture was missing. And I think this is very helpful for all of us to hear it from you as to where Messe Munchen is looking at, and what kind of challenges and at the same time opportunities we have at hand. When you feel and you shared your wish to come to India, I can say feelings are mutual. The urge to shake hands with each other higher than ever before. And I think that also is a good positive sign for our business when we look at the times of new normal. So I see Mr. Chaudhary, Pawan Chaudhary is kind enough to join us, and good to see him. I think he's having his coffee, so we won't disturb him. I go back to you, Samir. Hey, Pawan, good to see you.
Welcome, Mr. Pawan.
Hi. Great to be with you all. And I'm listening right now. Will reserve my comments for when my time comes. Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, Pawan. So Samir, back to you now. Let's dive into your panel discussion. We all are eagerly waiting to hear that.
Thank you very much, Bhupinder. Thank you, Mr. Singer. Welcome, Mr. Pawan. That was very insightful. Thank you very much. I will like to now move on to our panel for today, who actually needs no introduction, and hence I will not be introducing. Let me start with Sandhya. Sandhya, has work from home brought about any new ways of thinking for you, new behaviors from you? You mentioned it's like a self-realization. Can you tell us a little bit more on this?
Sure. Thanks, Samir. Good morning, everyone. This COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent lockdown has definitely impacted the entire world, so I'm not an exception to it. Our day-to-day normal activities have changed so suddenly that it's impacted all of us, specifically on our mental and emotional state. But the fact is that this is the time that we need to remain calm and train our minds to be only responsive towards what is happening around, be aware of it rather than reacting, right? Because what is going on around, it's for everybody are facing this kind of a situation, and what is going around, we definitely cannot change it. But what we can manage or take control is our own behavior towards it. Our own mindset can be trained in such a way that we remain positive. As the saying goes, you never know how strong you are until being strong is the only option that you have. So similarly, this adverse situation has truly helped me in realizing my true potential. So how to remain, maintain the calmness and the composure during this time, and not to give in to that stress or the anxiety or frustration arising out of this lockdown. And in the past also, I had attended many trainings on motivation. Would have read so many books on the inspiration, or read some kind of messages, but if you don't put it in practice, what good is those learnings? So I feel that those things have really helped me at this point of time. At the face of this adversity, these learnings have come very handy, and I'm unleashing this learning in a practical way at this point of time.
Great. And does it also reflect upon your family? You have a son. So yes. How old is your son? Tell us a little bit about how it has changed for you as a parent.
Sure, definitely. Because the way how we behave to the situation, it will definitely have an impact on the family members as well. I have a son who is 12 years old right now. And the kids are just a reflection of their parents, so it is more important that we behave more responsibly towards them, not to show the frustration or not to show the anxiety, because they are also going through this lockdown situation, and it is very, very difficult for them to comprehend or even understand what is going on around. So this situation has really helped in bringing out that positivity in him as well. Because right now at his school, the school has already started. His academic session has already started from March 19th, when the lockdown was just announced. So the schools have started with their academic session. So they have started with their online classes, Google Classrooms, and assignments were issued, and it's very difficult to make a kid to sit and study at this point of hour. So it was like a fun, like, creating like notes on the MS Word, teaching him how to prepare tables on the MS Word, or learning, it was really fun. And it was a new way of learning also, because anyone will like to sit in front of the system and then try to do different things. So we have found, new ways of doing things, what is not possible otherwise. And this is just an example. I would definitely say that we have even tried out so many things, like, baking a cake or with biscuits. And likewise, I could just say, it's just that the point over here, what I would like to make is, like, instead of thinking as nothing is impossible, we can always think that there is a possibility for everything. There is a possibility for
Right, right.
everything. We find ways or alternatives at this point of our, rather than saying that, okay, we are not able to do. So that's
That's a
positive.
positive. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
that's a
positive.
positivity we have learned together along with my kid, and definitely this will continue even after the lockdown.
It will. And does it also rub off onto your professional work? I mean, is working from home different for you as a finance person?
See, working from home for a finance person, whether we are working at office or at home, it's the same. The work remains the same. Our statutory compliances or reporting requirements remain the same. Just one advantage is that the volume of transactions is less at this point of time. And this has really helped us in taking up certain activities which was otherwise not possible for us. Like long time pending, like, we're doing a vendor reconciliation, account balances. We were able to do some data cleansing activities, or old balances and the data or documents could be rearranged. And we are also, as a team, we are remaining very focused and positive at this time, because once this lockdown is over and the markets open up and we are back to the normal situation, we need to be equipped to handle the surge of transactions that will flow in. So we are also thinking about automating certain processes, like we are updating the fixed asset register on SAP so that we can go online. And we are trying to automate certain activities, like creating a portal, developing a portal for the employee claims. Such kind of activities we are trying to do, so that we are already ready for the once the situation normalizes and we are back to this one. And I must tell you, Samir, we also tried on discussing with our auditors to do audit remotely. So definitely, when we do this audit remotely, it will be a very good breakthrough for the entire finance.
Yeah, that would be a positive that's bound to stay for a long time.
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
So now here I'd like to take audience. This is the first poll question coming up. Mohsin, can you run the poll question, please? This question is, how long do you think, there's a spelling mistake, the lockdown will prevail? Please choose. You have only 10 seconds for this. Please choose, all of you. And the results are instantaneous. We are going to be having results. Mohsin?
Yes.
Can we have them? Oh, so it's end of 31st May. So there's going to be an extension. Okay, that's insightful. That's very insightful. That's what people are thinking. All right. So I'd like to move on to our next panelist for the day, Suresh. Suresh, would you like to tell us if being locked down has had any positives for you as the operations head? And do you think we could carry any of these positives forward into the post-crisis era? Over to you, Suresh.
Thank you, Samir, and good morning, everyone. Now it's almost past 4 weeks from the lockdown. And I had seen in these past 4 weeks, there are a lot of positivity in the industry, in the family, in the colleagues, and also in the friends. Because everybody is calling you. I mean, trust me, I haven't received so many calls I have received in my past 4 weeks that everybody is calling you. They are asking about you. How are you? And how are things? Everybody is safe in your family. How are your colleagues? Everybody is well. So this is really something I have never ever received, even on my birthday. I would like to say. So many calls. And this is good to know, and good to know about everybody. We get updates from everyone, from the industry, from the colleagues. And the best thing is, what I have seen in past 4 weeks, attending so many seminars we are doing, most of our industry colleagues are coming forward to help us. And I had seen that the venue owners, first time in my career, I have seen they had came forward, and they had given a discount on their rental fees, which I had never seen. And I always seen that their rentals are increased every time, but this is the first time I have seen that venue owners and other vendors coming forward and asking that they are ready to give a discount, and they are supporting everybody, and they are supporting the industry. This is really a good positive sign we see during this crisis, And I'm also in touch with most of the other organizers, and if you can say my friends or my ex-colleagues, we all were together. If you talk about Messe Frankfurt, Messe Nuremberg, or UBM, we are also started discussing very frequently, which we haven't used to do in our past, because we all were busy in our show and we never used to call each other so frequently. But now we have time, and we call each other frequently, discussing about how's the things going on and how is going in their end, how their organization is coming up with this crisis, what are the things and challenges they are facing, and how they are handling the situation. So this is very good to understand what our competitors are doing, or maybe all the other organizations are doing. This is very good. This is very good because this is creating a good environment, and also a good positivity for future collaboration. When if we are doing
Yes.
so together or something like that, we can think about it, and we can try to save as much as we can.
That is really exceptional, Suresh. Very good. I'd just like to point out that we are overshooting our time. I'll just take on the next question. Suresh, I also wanted to ask you on the personal front. Is there anything new that you've developed, like new habits or anything which you feel are positive and will stay with you after the lockdown also?
Yes, so in personal front, I think the most important thing, which I think would remain, would be cleanliness and hygiene. Although it was important thing from everybody, but I think it will become more cautious. People will now start cleaning their hand and keeping more hygiene. Because whenever I go, even if I have a small snack or even a biscuit, I first thing comes in my mind that I have to wash my hand, and then only I have to eat. So small things we take very carefully. Even in my family now, if something comes from outside, suppose a milk pouch or any parcel, but first it is completely cleaned, disinfected, and then only it is stored. So this is becoming a new normal, and I think this will stay. And I think one thing which will always be carried by a person, before we used to go out and we used to check our pocket, the purse, the keys are there, but now people will check whether they had carried their mask or a
Sanitize.
sanitizer. And this
Yes,
will become a new normal.
absolutely.
This will be carried on. I don't think this will
That's absolutely great. That's something I think all of us over here will definitely agree on. I'd like to now take on the next poll question for all of us over here, Mohsin.
Yes, please.
Okay, how would you rate Messe München India webinar series? Is it excellent, good, or poor? Please feel free.
Ten more
Okay.
seconds.
Mohsin,
Yeah.
how do we stand?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. That's great. That's great. So we would have expected this kind of a result. I want to move on to Harshal now. Harshal, my next speaker, besides your normal work, office work, what else have you been doing in the shutdown and work from home? Has there been anything that you took up that will add value to your life post-COVID? Harshal?
Yes, thank you, Samir, and good afternoon to all. As rightly said by Bhupinder and Sandhya, lockdown does not mean you get frustrated and get into negative zone. The important aspect to remember is that you're not only one who's facing the problem. You're asked to stay at home for your own safety and that of the community. We all know COVID-19 pandemic has made a global impact in the past weeks and continues to impact most of the sectors. But what can we do in this for ourselves? And I have found a very simple answer is to indulge yourself into some new learning activities. There are numerous online opportunities which we can access from our homes, thereby making good use of this lockdown period for your own skill enhancement. The lockdown has taught me a lot, like to evolve, upgrade myself, try to do something new which I was never doing it, or be resilient to change and overcome the challenges. For many of us in self-isolation, it can feel that the coronavirus has put a hold on the world as we wait for the release from the imprisonment. But there are increasing number of people who are using this time to build their skill set. An upsurge number of online enrollment for learning platforms such as LinkedIn, Udemy, edX, FutureLearn, Coursera, which offers massive open online courses. I always wanted to do these courses but complained about not having time. Devoting some of your quarantine time to self-educate makes sense. Besides helping to bolster your career during this economic uncertainty, learning a new skill, new language can give you a sense of control that will help cope anxiety engendered by the epidemic. I have taken up some courses till now, 3 to 4, on communication skills, presentation skills, leadership quality. And last week I started with learning a new language, German. It's just been a week. I'm really excited if I can complete this course as well, which looks very difficult to me because sitting at home learning a new language is almost like an impossible thing. But I really keeping my fingers crossed that I can manage to learn new words, make some sentences. I've done these courses from Udemy and LinkedIn, which I feel are very user friendly and are one of the best e-learning websites. There are multiple courses available online from database management to business management, design to sales to marketing, lifestyle, finance, you name it and you have it. And the most important thing is that these courses are not very expensive. Hence, I would recommend you all to at least take out 15 minutes of your busy schedule for your new learning. That's it from my side, Samir.
You are a champion, Harshal. Great. Another thing I'd like to say that Amara has written in the chat that you were not very audible. Can you speak a little louder? I'd just like to ask you one quick question on your personal front also. Is there any, besides these intellectual pursuits, have you been doing something on a personal level?
Yes, I have been working quite seriously on my hobbies as well. So on weekends, I cook, which earlier I never did. Also, I started baking, which I'm enjoying a lot right now. Making a lot of cakes, cookies, also taking up some challenges online. And as you can see from the pictures, I'm taking up intaking a lot of calories thanks to my cooking skills. I also started doing yoga or hit high intensity workout in the morning for almost 45 minutes. And then in the evening, I take 32 flights of stairs, which takes about 25 minutes to complete. Yeah, I know.
And that is what we saw in the picture, is it?
Yes. So that it's 28 floor plus parking and different amenities. I want to add something that we always complain about not having time. I'm pretty sure even now someone will be thinking that it's so easy to say, but we have a lot of work to do and cannot take out time for ourselves. But let me tell you this, guys, that aren't you saving time by traveling less now? I mean, we are not traveling at all. So when we go to office, we almost save in Mumbai. We almost save like 1 hour of traveling. Why can't you utilize the same time in some new learning, maybe some new courses? Think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So now with that, we are going to take our next poll question.
Yes,
Mohsin.
please. Yes, please.
Do you find more time to pursue your hobbies or learning something new during the lockdown? Yes or no? Simple. Waiting for the answer.
Yes. 10 more seconds.
10 more seconds. Mohsin, can we have the result?
Yes. Yes, please.
For some people don't. I am probably one of those. Okay.
All right.
It's interesting. It is interesting. All right. Now I have with us Sharon. Sharon is our next speaker, next panelist. I'm trying to think, what could a marketing professional do with no standard marketing options available currently? How do you think the shutdown has had any positives on you, for you, Sharon? It's very interesting for us to know that.
Thank you, Samir. Good afternoon to all. Yes, as you said, it's correct that as marketing, we need to communicate. And the biggest challenge is what do we communicate at this tough times. What hit us well in early of April was the webinar craze, and we were quick to grab onto it. Messe München India quickly organized 26 webinars in a span of 25 days. These webinars have been well attended, well executed, and well planned off. It is clearly to show that we as one team, when we come together, put our minds to it, we can deliver fantastic things. Zoom as a tool was always there. It was launched back in 2011, so it's 9 years in existence. And it's only now that people have started using it to its full capacity. So for our webinars, we have till now received over 16,000 registrations and 6,000 attendees to our webinars. And we are only halfway. We still have another 14 odd webinars to go. So there is what Messe München stands for is about connecting global competencies. And this tool has proved that we are being the connect between the industries. We are here to serve and build the gap and bridge that gap. And I think the webinars have just proved to be a step in that direction. Yes, Amit.
Absolutely. That is an exceptional achievement. Fantastic. And has any of these positives, have you experienced any of these in your family time at home? Did COVID enable any positives for you at home also?
Yes, Amit. So for me, cooking has been something that's been very close to me. Unfortunately, I didn't have or didn't get the time earlier to indulge in my hobby. This hobby started off with the Dalgona Coffee Challenge. So the social media was trending with this particular topic, and being a South Indian and coffee being very close to me, I said, why not try this? And I tried it. So you see 3 glasses, so that one was for my wife and my kid, and we all really enjoyed it. And this is what kicked off the spark. So what we do over the weekends, I try my best to keep the weekends holy and keep it for family time. So on a weekend, we have a cooking challenge. So this is a chicken tandoori, because we are missing these restaurant foods. So my wife, on a Saturday, she put up the challenge of cooking a chicken tandoori, and I had to back this up. So on a Sunday, I cooked chili chicken, which was my response to her challenge. Yes, Amit.
Super, super. Wonderful, wonderful. It's really very nice to see all this happening. And good. That's something that will stay with you beyond the COVID crisis, I'm sure. Yes, now Mohsin, we'll take another second last poll for today.
Yes.
Let's have it on the screen now.
Yes, here we go.
Yes, digitization plays a major role in exhibition business, and tools such as webinars and online meetings are here to stay. Do you agree? Do you strongly agree, or do you disagree? In seconds more.
Yes. Should we close it?
Strongly agree and agree. Okay, there are some people who also disagree. That's good. So we have an almost equal number of strongly agree and agree. Okay. So Thank you very much, Sharon. This brings me to my last speaker for the day from the panel, Zeenath. Zeenath, you live alone. What would you call this phase of your life?
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing good. Thank you, Samir, for this lovely question. This phase of my life, what I would call it, is a preview. A preview to what my life is going to be in the next couple of years or so when my daughter gets married. It took me some time to realize it, but when I realized, I said, okay, I have a lot of things that I have planned to do when she gets married and when I'm living alone. I would like to make one thing clear here first. I'm not living alone. I have a few cats who are my pets and who live with me. And they have been keeping me busy. They've been keeping me quite busy. They ensure that I have kept my sanity. And these are the ones who have helped me to remain sane through this time. They're all my rescue babies who live with me. So that has been one. Two, I have done the things that I have wanted to do for a long time. I think cooking for me is very, very therapeutic. So I have tried a lot of different dishes. I have always wanted to bake, and I finally managed to bake a cake. I know this does not look very nice, but it was very, very tasty. But I did try to bake a cake, and I have been doing it like every week. I bake a cake and I eat it myself. I have also started being a little more appreciative of people who have who normally work towards making our life very comfortable, which during normal times, I think we just tend to overlook. We don't ignore, but we tend to overlook them, like our maids, like the watchmen, like our grocery vendors, like our vegetable vendors, like the delivery boys who bring things to our house. I know every time I have to go down to the gate to pick up something, and that is when I appreciate them all the more. I have also realized that, for the last so many years that I've been working, for me, work has been of prime importance, and home, because it's only my daughter and now she's grown up, it always came second. So I've realized that maintaining that balance is very, very important. So what I did is I made those few calls that to relatives whom I've not spoken to in years, who were restricted to birthdays and anniversaries, or on the family groups that they have been. I reconnected with my school friends, with more, who have not been in touch for more than 25, 26 years. And we got on a call as well. And it was madness. I studied in a girls' school. So you can imagine more than 40 girls on a Zoom call. So we got on it last week, and it was super fun. I don't know if you all can see the screen. Yes. So it was super fun with everyone from across the globe on the screen, and we had a lot of fun. We were reminiscing about our farewell party after the 10th, and a lot of things that we spoke about. Nothing about Corona, nothing about how it is affecting anyone. Of course, we asked each other if we're safe. But I think these are small things that have made a lot of difference in the last few days that I've been at home. And like Sandhya said, that you don't know how strong you are until until being strong is the only option that you have. And technically, I have become a little more, I've aspired to be a little more, less technically challenged, and I think that I've done now. Webinars was something which I never understood, but I understand it now. I'm a trained certified coach, so I have started writing my first book. I have just put down the chapters that I would like to write. So I think these are the things that I have done, being at home alone. And yes,
Extremely motivating. Thank you. A very, very uplifting thing that you said just now.
thank you.
And professionally, were there any positives for you over there?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think professionally, this gave me a lot of time to put together my entire show, because it's a new show that I'm working on. I put it together. I have connected with the industry. If I was in office, maybe my mind would have been diverted with doing other things. But being at home and working on it, I think it has helped me connect with the industry. And during this time especially, I made those calls. I asked people if they're okay. I remember this one call I would like to share. where I spoke with this gentleman from the north. And when I called him, I just asked him, I said, can we talk? And he said, yes, I'm traveling, but yes, we can talk. And then we had the whole conversation about the show and all of it. And at the end, he tells me, I am going through the symptoms of COVID, and I'm on the way to the hospital to get a checkup done. Please pray for me. And I told him, take care and all of it. And after a week, I thought I should make that one call because he specifically told me about it. So I made that one call and I asked him, I said, are you okay? He said, thankfully, yes, I'm okay. And, I have not been tested positive. So I think that relationship has been built here, which is going to take me a long way in the future. So these relationships that we build now, like how Bhupinder said, making those calls, being connected to the industry at this time, I think these are relationships that are going to take us a long way in the future, long after all this has gone away. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I'm sure a lot of us over here will agree too. It is, I think, time to connect with each other on a human level with our business contacts. Again, so now here we come for the last poll question for the day. Mohsin, I request you to please put it up.
Yes.
Being positive is the new normal. Do you agree? Please give in your answers in the next 10 seconds. And when we are ready, Mohsin, please put up the results.
Yes. 5 more seconds. We see the result here.
I agree. It's important to be positive during these tough times. Absolutely. Absolutely. Almost 90%. Excellent. So now, thank you very much to all the speakers and to all the panelists for wonderful insights and into your personal lives. Thank you so much. Friends, I really have a big treat for you here today. We have with us Mr. Pawan Chaudhary. Just a second, please. Mr. Pawan Chaudhary is sitting with us today on the panel. Thank you, Mr. Chaudhary, for coming and joining us. He's a well-known author and a speaker, and he was called, he's known as, the Times of India says, among the most foremost thinkers of the world. We have the honor of having him with us today. It's going to be great, Mr. Chaudhary, that you have joined us today as a guest speaker. And we'd like to know your thoughts on what is currently going on. And I hand it over to you. We are grateful. Thank you very much. Please take the floor.
My pleasure to be with you all. And I'm very impressed with this webinar. I have spoken at many webinars in the last, say, 1.5 months. And this was very well conducted. And I would also like to compliment you on the professionalism as to how your screens appear, on the language, the precision of the language used, and perhaps the preparation which went into doing this is genetic because you are used to conducting conferences. But I'm sure your conferences must be really, really top class because of where from where this gene comes. So great. So let me first comment on the points which I heard. So somebody said resilience, strength to be. I mean, you are, when a challenge comes, then your strength appears. You're absolutely right. People have been through worse challenges and they did not lose their equilibrium. We are fortunate, we have bigger homes. We have no tension about where the meals are coming from. We may have even house help and so on. The second point which came up was a lot of calls came. Somebody said a lot of calls came, a lot of people were calling him. So it was a good chance to connect with our customers also. And it was also a good chance to humanly connect with those who we do not usually connect, as Zinat said, the maid or the guard, etc. These connections are also important because sometimes during our professional life, we feel we would only like to connect with those people who matter. And this crimps our scope of happiness as well as our spectrum of interaction. So our happiness, etc., depends only in connecting with the people who matter. Once we start connecting with other people also, and we realize that those relationships also can bring something for us. Those relationships can also bring warmth and affection or some new learning. So that's great. A lot of you are upgrading your skills. I can add some skills which some of the other companies are upgrading. They are improving their filing, digital filing. They are improving their business development skills, digital marketing. The point about disinfection came, so we can also look at brainstorm about new areas where Messe München can get. Could you be the disinfector of conferences? Because in times to come, conferences will become more and more sanitized. So this is just a thought in the ring. While I was thinking about what matters for the company, cash matters right now. Demand you have to influence. Somebody was speaking about positivity. I'm not so much a fan of positivity because I feel that we take our level of positivity to any crisis we go to. People who have lost their limbs, they also come back to their original level of happiness after the loss of limbs, after a year or so has passed. And I also feel that sometimes too much preoccupation with positivity might make us blind to the challenges ahead. For example, if I have a car and if I have to get to a finishing tape, and if there is a puncture in the car, I can keep on thinking, no, everything is okay, etc. But after some time, I will have a burst tire. Okay, so sometimes we ignore the embers which are still burning below and plant this flag of positivity, and after some time the wooden pole of the flag will catch fire, and then the mast will also catch fire. So I feel that positivity is great, but seeing the opportunity in the crisis is even greater. Seeing that there will be some downs and how I'll crest after the trough is even better. People were talking about learnings. So, and I thought that Harshal said that, and I thought that she is learning some new language, and German, I think. I think I also should learn something. I have long wanted to be a professor, which is not so easy when you have other jobs also to do. But I think a new opportunity has come up of being an e-professor, and I should look at that. So that was an inspiration for me. The language German also I'm fascinated with. I'm fascinated by your thinkers. I've been to Munich. I admire people like Freud, etc., who have lived in Germany, Marx, Einstein, and mostly I admire Machiavelli, who has spoken so highly about the German character that it is a treat to read. So I should also look at maybe learning a new language. Though German intimidates me because I find it quite complicated seeing it from the prism of a person who knows only English and Hindi, but I should gather strength and move forward. Somebody showed nice pictures of tandoori chicken and all, and I thought that this industry has really been hit, and it has not been hit so badly by the impact of COVID, but the impact of fake news. So we have lost about 200 crores, which for Falk translates into nearly 18 million euros. um, per day. We have lost that much in the poultry only because of fake news. Similarly, newspapers also have lost because of fake news. So COVID is hitting some industries really, like aviation, travel, uh, hospitality, conferencing, exhibitions, uh, and some it is hitting through fake news. Um, so another point which came was that this is the new normal. I would say that this is not the new normal. This is the new flux. Right now, we are still going through the flux. The new normal has not set in. And here is where I was thinking that I should share some learnings from the Spanish flu as well as from the Black Death. The Black Death happened in the 14th century. It was the plague which cost millions of lives. And it was not that it only had negative effects. After the flux, there were many positive effects also. For example, the population came down, the demographic correction meant lesser mouths to feed. So in Europe, which was completely dedicated to only growing grains because there were so many mouths to feed, they could grow cash crops also, because of which prosperity started rising. And with lesser number of peasants available, their strength also went up. Their bargaining strength went up. Because of these cash crops, a lot of trade started happening. And because of this trade, banking policies, the latest innovations from Italy, they started permeating other countries. Conspicuous consumption got hit badly. Even the heels, the height of the heels of which ladies could wear in their sandals was restricted. It was emblematic that we will not splurge. Some industries came down while others went up. One of the industries which came down was lead, because lead was used in making utensils which were very glazed and luxurious. Some came up. So similarly, in the Spanish flu, every chaos is also a ladder. Only thing is that the same communities which have ascended the ladder earlier may not ascend. In Spanish flu, what happened? Doctor stock came down because it was felt that nurses are more brave than doctors in dealing with patients. Doctors were shying away from the infected patients. So nurses' stock went up. Adult suffrage movement for women got a very strong push because of Spanish flu. Earlier, it was said that the woman's finger is only good for the wedding ring, and don't give her the ballot. Her body and psyche is not made for the poisonous vapors of politics, of rallying, etc. If you give her the vote, then there may be breakups in the family because of cross voting. Nations may become weak, and so on. All these things were advanced, but when the strength of nursing came through women in Spanish flu, the adult suffrage movement for women got a very strong fillip. Similarly, in SARS, during SARS, online shopping in China really grew after SARS. So we will need to see what will grow if conferences start degrowing, if face-to-face conferences start degrowing. What is it that will grow? So there will be opportunities which the agile and nimble and sensitive organization will tap. I was earlier once told long time back that there is a $10,000 suite to make a virtual conference. Somebody came to me with that offer to buy. I thought that it is too expensive. Why do we need a virtual conference? But the other day I was speaking to my head of marketing, and I was telling him that there was one company which had come to sell us this. Let us once again take a look at it. So the selling process will not go anywhere. We will need to find other ways of giving that exhibition space, that feel, maybe some kind of 3D printing. I remember when I was in advertising, there used to be a color book which used to tell us, sitting in the ad agency, as to what exact color the printer is going to use on his press. So the colors had these codes, swatches. Maybe tomorrow there will be swatches of materials, so that you will show me something on the visually, and to get that touch and feel, I will have some swatch of material to palpably understand and experience how that product will feel. Maybe there might be these small 3D printers who might give me a sample of that product sitting at home after I have seen the demonstration on the net. So these are trends which I see, which an organization can tap. Also, I feel that if you will look at healthcare, if you will look at online gaming, if you look at entertainment, if you look at personal care, e-commerce, manufacturing, edtech, all these sectors will grow. Maybe they are not growing right away. Maybe right now, many of them have been paralyzed because of the shock or the breaking of the supply chain, etc. Where is it that we can find new opportunities? This team, it seems to be a great team. And it should also look at its Rolodesks. What all contacts I have, as one of you was doing. Will I be tomorrow? Yesterday I was doing only exhibitions. Will I be doing events also tomorrow? Will the marriages of daughters of Zeenat's daughter will have marriage also require some kind of intervention by conferencing or event experts? What will be the big marriages, the very rich people, how will they be managing? I'm just thinking aloud. But because this team is so good, I'm sure that you will remain together and you will sense and tap the opportunities which emerge, and stay flexible to keep changing, to tap them better.
I can tell you, Pawan, that marriage industry in India is way bigger than exhibition industry.
Oh, is that so? Wow.
Mr. Sengar might also find it interesting, but I'm sure he has seen the big mega Indian weddings and how many people attend it. Sometimes more visitors than marriage attendees, and the turnover grows into multi crores. So you are not far away from touching upon that. I think you have raised very interesting points, interesting food for thought. And I remember your TED talk for breakthrough results. You talk about leaders today need to have a blend of virtue as well as deception. So now this is, this doesn't go in so easily. Since we have you with us, can you also highlight for our leadership teams your views on that and elaborate a little bit on what is the need, what kind of ability, what kind of tactical ability the leadership needs to have to deal with such kind of situation, or for any situation for that matter?
So that I am not misunderstood, I would first like to know, how much time do we have? How much time do I have? Because this is an intricate concept for advanced leaders, and I'm glad that you are having that IQ where I will be able to present this. But how much time do I have? When are you planning to close the session?
Samir, you want to answer that?
Yeah, actually, we can take easily 10 minutes and understand from you about the shrewdness and deception that you spoke about in your TED talk. That would be very helpful for us. And then we can close 10 minutes later. Is that okay?
Okay. Fine. So leaders use two methods basically to exert their will. Rewards and sanctions. Let me tell you about the Cobra effect. Let me begin by telling you about the Cobra effect. Cobra effect is a term which is borrowed from, it's an economic term which is borrowed from, traces its origin to the British colonial times. During these times in Delhi, the number of cobras went up. These venomous snakes were a big problem for the administration. So they decided that we will award, we will institute an award for every dead cobra brought. So many rupees you'll get. And they announced it. Very soon, this scheme started succeeding. A lot of people started killing cobras, bringing them, claiming the reward. But after some time, some enterprising people, they started breeding cobras to then kill them and claim the reward. When the British government came to know this, it withdrew the scheme. When the cobra breeders came to know this, they released the cobras in the open. So ultimately, because that inventory was no longer useful to them. So ultimately, there were more cobras after the scheme than before the scheme. So Cobra effect means the unintended adverse consequences of well-intentioned decisions. And Cobra, there are many more examples. You should look at my TED talk when you get the time. And this is not only in the government sector, it is there in the private sector also. Carbon credits, you would remember. The UN instituted a reward program for destroying polluting gases. And when you destroyed X amount of a polluting gas, then you would be entitled to a carbon credit which could be cashed. What happened? People started producing more and more polluting gases to then destroy them and claim the credits, millions of dollars they claimed. Also, all the intermediate products which were required for finally making that polluting gas were also polluting, but they were just left like that because there was no reward associated with it. So pollution levels increased rather than decreased. When you look at such schemes, the main fault which you can discover is the lack of understanding of human nature among people who have designed the scheme. And this lack of understanding is not only dangerous in designing such schemes, but is also equally disastrous in designing reform through sanctions. Let me give you an example from 193 AD, where Pertinax was the commander or king who succeeded Commodus in Rome. And Pertinax was a very good, principled man. He also inherited Commodus's violent and pampered army. So he saw that this army is absolutely indisciplined, so he immediately mandated that you should live disciplined and Spartan lives and virtuous lives. The soldiers were very disturbed that their privileges are being withdrawn. Very soon, they got together and overthrew him and assassinated him. And after that, they even started auctioning the post of the emperor. So the situation which was there before him was actually better. Then after his reform, again, he has not understood the human nature. So Cobra effect is there. It is very pervasive, and why it continues unabated. It was there in 193 AD. I can give you hundreds of examples today, not only in the government sector, but in the private sector, NGO sector, wherever. Why it persists? Because leaders refuse to learn. Leaders refuse to learn that world is also teeming with guile and aggression. And their strategies should have the ability to overcome the deviant and the unscrupulous and go past his strategic defenses. So that understanding is not there, and shrewdness should not be seen as ugly and manipulative. Some of the holiest men in the world have been the shrewdest, if not for themselves, then for their friends. And the learned people have known that the learned people have known that the discovery of deceit is the true nourishment for a noble mind, is the delight for the virtuous soul. So shrewdness should be unapologetically necessary in leadership, especially in great big leaders. What about deception? Let us recall Abraham Lincoln's case. Abraham Lincoln was known for his integrity and fair play. However, when he was piloting the equality bill between blacks and whites through the parliament, what is it that he did? He realized that the other side is more populous and doggedly determined to oppose the bill, defeat the bill. After all the lobbying, when he realized that his bill will lose by 2 votes in the coming week, when it comes up for voting, he told his confidants, "We are losing by 2 votes. Procure the votes." The votes were procured, bought. And the bill, epoch-making bill, was passed. Millions of people came out of their bondage. Their future generations came out of their bondage. What Abraham Lincoln did, it was grave misconduct. However, the outcome was so noble that he is remembered as one of the greatest liberators of humanity even till date. So, to overcome entrenched interests, sometimes the leader has to be deceptive also. If shrewdness and deception are so important, what about virtue? Is virtue redundant? No. Virtue generates goodwill, and goodwill is the lifeline of leadership. Having said that, a person who is only good, only virtuous, cannot overcome evil. Why? Because if you are only virtuous, you become too predictable and innocuous. You cannot inspire awe, strength, and go for decisive victories. People will not follow you. In fact, a virtuous leader who fails, a good leader, a principled leader who fails, is the worst advertisement for principles. Because people look at his case and say that I will not go his path because of his defeated and dismal example. So, in a nutshell, metaphorically speaking, the leader to prevail should have a dove, a fox, and a snake in him. a dove to signal harmony and peace to allies and followers, a fox to peer deep into the cunning human mind to avoid the traps and tripwires, and a snake to inspire awe and sting when necessary. When a leader realizes that virtue and deception and shrewdness goes hand in hand, and he can blend these in him, then only he is ready to swim with the big sharks in the big oceans. Without becoming like them, without losing his sovereignty. And then he can wait to spot his chance. And when the chance comes, make his move for the larger good. So this is, in a nutshell, what I mean by why shrewdness and deception is important in great leadership.
Thank you, Pawan. I think these are some very, very deep thinking points. But we see the application of these points ample today, especially in politics.
Let me tell you, I was recently invited by Mr. Modi to his home. And frankly speaking, I'm apolitical. But I find that there are certain things in Mr. Modi which are really admirable. One is reform through stealth. I have written somewhere, and this was before he invited, so that he has also brought in certain reform through stealth. And you will, if you'll Google it, you'll come to know that I'm talking about the members of parliaments, how they were using their DA very badly in a huge manner, and how he countered them. It was reform through stealth. So
we will take this discussion forward in our one-to-one series, which
Sure.
David will send you some details. But we would love to continue this chat, Pawan. I think it's
Sure.
such a pleasure and honor to have you, and thanks for making it possible at such a short notice. Thanks for the flexibility. And with that, I think we have to look at the watch, Samir. Mr.
Yes,
Singer,
yes,
I guess, is
absolutely.
looking at his. So how do
Absolutely.
we move forward?
Okay, so actually we have only a couple of questions from the audience. So there's only one question that I'd like to take right now. And first of all, I wanted to thank Mr. Pawan for the wonderful insights.
thank you. Big
We are
pleasure.
fortunate to listen to them from the author himself.
Right.
And you actually summarized the entire book for us. Thank you so much.
No, this is not from my book. This is beyond the book. There
Yeah.
is a 2-minute video series which I run, which is called Deep Slice. That is for leaders like you who are not novices, who are already seasoned leaders. You will like that 2-minute video series. You can go through it. And this is
We'll
from
go
a TED Talk. Yeah.
We'll go through it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So we are coming to the last part of our session. We have one question I'd like to ask. Either Bhupinder or Mr. Falk can take this question. What is Messe München's new normal? You're on mute, Bhupinder.
Okay, thanks. Is Mr. Singer put on mute?
He's on
or
mute right now, yes.
Has he done it himself? Okay, I think he's on a different call. Yeah, so I think I would just add to what Pawan just mentioned. See, there are things which you know that you know, right? Like we know we are in the middle of COVID crisis. There are things which we know that we don't know. Like we don't know if there is, we don't know when the cure is gonna come by. And then there is a third category of that we don't know that we don't know. We don't even know. It's called a blind spot. Most of us know about it. And what Pawan mentioned, that I think it's a little early to already assume that the new normal has begun. But some trends, some broader trends which emerge out of the current crisis, for example, is that I believe we as exhibition people, because we work for the whole year to plan those 3-4 days very well. And in that planning process, that converts our DNA into making everything certain, having checks, plan B, plan C, everything certain. I think this will definitely change our relationship with certainty. Long-term, mid-term plannings, which we are so fond of. I'm not saying we can get away with that. We have to stay in that, but we should have a more agile and more flexible attitude, ability to change gears at a short notice. So that's something which the new situation might bring with it. Second point, which I may add is, which I would like to add is, digital and virtual is here to stay. I'm not saying it will supplement. Pawan still believes it can supplement going forward, but I certainly believe it will continue to play a very profound role, and it will certainly complement the exhibitions. And that's from our perspective, we could be wrong. Another trend which I feel emerging from this is more focus on national, local, regional markets may grow. Because when you have this phobiatic reaction to travel, to safety, to health, people may not want to travel. And that means that if they have two options, one option is to travel from Chennai to Mumbai to attend the #1 show. And second option is to attend the #2 show, but within Chennai, they might go for the second option. So I think this is something which will also, on one hand, challenge some of the bigger shows. On the other hand, it will create more opportunities for the regional organizers. And last but not least, it makes it very clear that we owe particular responsibilities to the most vulnerable among us. And in future, this is also a pledge. Once we return to normal, once business starts flowing as normal, we will direct our CSR even more strongly towards them. So I can go on, virtual conferences. I mean, there is no end to this discussion, but I think these are top 3 or 4 key aspects, broad aspects, which I see. Unless Mr. Sengar want to join something to it.
I would just,
Mr. Sengar, are you able to hear us?
I would just like to clarify one point and then take your permission to leave. I don't think that this world will be replaced by another world. There is a couplet in Hindi which says, "Nahi jamte ye jameen aasmaan to chhod de inko, lekin pehle naye jameen aasmaan paida kar le." But in the new reality, ye jameen aasmaan bhi rahenge, wo jameen aasmaan bhi rahenge. When the net came, e-commerce came, people said now education will happen only through the e-route. And now shopping will happen only through the e-route. Of course it happened. But the schools also remain, the universities also remain, and the malls also remain. So that change will be far-reaching. Does not mean that change will obliterate everything which was old. The old will coexist with the new. And the new could be shockingly new because of the way the new is coming. But both will coexist. So I agree there with Bhupinder that though the old order will change, but it will not mean that it will change completely. Both the streams will continue. We already have a board for the old order. We have to develop a board for the new ocean. And we have to understand how this new ocean will be born. And we should be constantly mapping the waves so that we come with the right vessel for it. This is what I would like to say, Bhupinder. Great being with you and your team. Very big pleasure. And I will sign off now, and all the best to all of you. Bye.
Thank you, Pawan. Thanks.
Thank you,
Hope to
Mr.
see you
Saurabh.
soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so
That brings us to the end of today's discussion. So I have no doubt that
Yes.
it has lifted our spirits. No, Bhupinder, was Mr. Falk going to give us his... Mr. Falk, Mr. Singh?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, Bhupinder had asked you a question. I'm sorry I butted in. Do I continue?
Mr. Singh, you want to add something? You want to add something to what the new normal may look like?
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm a little bit now, bi-focusing, because joining a task force of Messe München and Munich and joining the webinar on the same sign, very interesting, you see Mr. Gerritsen, yeah, Mr.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So no, let me summarize. I found this webinar fantastic. So much personal input from the colleagues, which was very, very interesting for me. How your daily life and work changed due to this virus, and I'm very impressed how disciplined all of your colleagues are working and at home and contributing to the health of the colleagues on one side, but also to the success of the company on the other side. Both is very, very important. Yes, very interesting also input of Mr. Chaudhry about leadership and the new normal. It shows very much that the subjects we are talking about today are very similar all over the world. Yeah, it shows also that globalization brought us very close together. Yeah, not only in velocity, but also in the content we are dealing with. It's incredible. I think 20 years ago this would not have been possible to compare ourselves so closely, and this is very impressive.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks a lot for your insightful words. The session is now almost over. We have to remember as we go that there is positivity all around us. We only have to reach out. I'd like to end with one saying: how we respond to any difficult situation can determine how successfully and fast we can come out of it. And before I close, I'd like for all of us to go to that one place and to meet those people we are longing to meet. That one place we have never been for the last 40 years. 40 days, what am I saying? I'm sorry. It's been 40 days, 40 days now. Let's go to this place. Sharon.
The new environment, the new setup, wow, it's amazing.
The personal connect here is very positive. Looking from there to what we have achieved now, I think it's a tremendous growth for a company and as a family of Messe München.
This office is given by all of you to Messe München India. It's not the other way around. Thanks, Samir. Just one final line from my side. I think a fantastic job by you as a moderator. Very good preparation by you and all the panelists. Very well thought through program, well prepared. And it's a good testimony that someone like Pawan, who comes from outside, also underlines it. So thanks to all the colleagues for finding time, joining us today. And thanks to Mr. Sengar for making it possible. Thanks, Mr. Sengar. And I also take the opportunity to thank our committees, our COVID communications committee, our webinar committee, and digital committee for doing a phenomenal work so far. So we once again try clapping for all of them. And
yeah, thank you. Thank you also from my side, Bhupinder, to you personally, to the moderator, Samir, and to all the panelists, to the speaker. It was a wonderful experience. And as I said already in the beginning, you are the benchmark for all the company all over the world. And I think the others have to follow now. Yeah. And actually joining the task force in the meantime, yeah, people in Munich are discussing the same issues, how we can do webinars like Bhupinder is doing with his colleagues. It's very impressive to see that. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sengar. Very uplifting.
And hope to
Thanks
see you soon. All the best.
You. See you soon. So all of you stay healthy and stay connected. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Sengar.
Thank you so
much.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.